Welcome into a special edition of Inside the Huddle slash Old School with Jay Foreman here, pre-recording. Old School brought to you by the Mercado Certified Piedmontese Special Ingredients and Butcher Shop. Obviously, Inside the Huddle brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. Get in contact with Dr. Razdan or Dr. Finn. They will put together a clear and detailed plan for all your health needs. But I wanted to jump into five things to look forward to or look for either at camp if you're able to go to the August 3rd open practice or coming out of camp. And the reason why is you have an extremely young team, second year staff, obviously second year with Matt Rule, but there's things that you always want to just look for that kind of gives you just a quick snap and see how much improvement they've had. And it's also both individually, collectively, and then also holistically as a program. Number one for me, obviously with two young, very talented quarterbacks in Dylan Raiola and Daniel Kalen. And I will throw Heinrich Harburg in there as a new version of himself. First year with a quarterback coach, second year of really actually being coached. Previous staff didn't really put a lot of energy and time into coaching him. So really, to be honest with you, you have three freshman quarterback. This is just my opinion that went through spring ball this year as early enrollees, even though Heinrich Harburg had been here for some years. Obviously being a red shirt and then not really getting coached. That is well documented. And then you have two freshmen coming in, early enrollees going through their first spring, obviously summer, and heading into fall camp. So I think one of the biggest things to look for is ball handling. What is ball handling? Ball handling starts from the center quarterback exchange, obviously quarterback to running back, handoff, and also ball fakes and ball security, right? And so you don't want to see a lot of fumbled snaps, fumbled mishandles, quarterback, running back exchange, so forth and so on. And then it moves outside to the tight ends, receivers, or anybody that's receiving the ball, right? Catching the ball clean, put it in a good high and tight position, and allowing themselves to use their athletic ability to get up field. And obviously, ball handling also is not fumbling the ball, but also what ball handling is, and it's a little bit of accuracy. Is ball handling is to me is a bigger thing than just those things that I mentioned. A lot of it, can start with the quarterback play, and I think this is also what's really been exciting about having Coach Thomas as a quarterback coach, Marcus Satterfield as a second-year offensive coordinator. The biggest thing from a defensive perspective, and also you want to see from an offensive perspective, is the accuracy, right? Or where you lead your receiver to allow him to have run after the catch opportunities, but also being the only person that can make that catch, or possibly if he does drop it, it doesn't turn into a pick six or a tip pass, which leads to an interception, which obviously is turnovers and turnover margin, which is directly tied to ball handling, right? And it's ball handling, or decision making with the ball, and those go into, I'm assuming, the evaluation process, but then also it goes into see the improvement, not only year to year, but week to week, practice to practice, individual drill to individual drill, however you want to line it up. And it's huge. It's a huge part. It's going to be a huge part in this season. It's been a huge part in the other way in other past seasons and past staffs. So it's something, if it's addressed um, first by the staff, because the coaches they can only put up the stats. They don't can tell you so much. You have to go out there and really execute it and make it a priority. Priority number one. It's just like whether it's basketball or any other sport, the ball is the key defensively. You know, I always tell my linebackers, don't leverage the block, leverage the ball. There's one ball, keep it in offense. Don't turn it over. Make the other team beat you. If you want a great example of a team that just killed it in ball handling, ball security, and obviously turnover margins, look no other than the 20-year run of New England Patriots, led by Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. It was they won a lot more game. They won a lot of games, but Bill Belichick will tell you that in the NFL, a lot more games are lost than won. And once you figure it out, that you go and make the other team beat you, and then you make the plays to beat them, then that win loss column starts to look like what we'd like, resemble a little bit of the past. The next thing we always like to look at this is the look test, right? I would say this, Corey Campbell and the nutrition staff and the weight staff has done a really good job of guys are lean, but they're not skinny. They're big. They're fast. They're stronger. They're a good looking football team. At least they were last year. You saw a quick change immediately. If you want to look at somebody, Bryce Benhart, I mean, he changed his body, and I think it also helped him be more consistent last year. He wasn't the quote unquote whipping boy every game. I think he was more mentally focused. I would think I can't speak for his grading out, but just from my naked eye, it seemed like he played um, the best football that he was able to play in his, career. And there's a plenty more examples. Nash is one. He could play longer, still kept his weight. So whatever they are doing, you want to have that look test. And the look test isn't just your arm curls or your arms and everything. So everybody, oh, look at his arms. He's in great shape. You want to see how the body's. You want to see the legs. You want to see the midsection. You want to see the core good. And then also the look test is, does the look test that you see initially match up with what they do on the field? And you want to see a team that moves well, moves with authority, moves with intentions, and then also look like they've improved their body, improved their athletic ability. And you can make huge strides ever since spring ball ended. And so that's why I always say that in previous shows, and obviously on Old School all the time, and I've said it also on Inside the Huddle, this offseason is probably this summer, and I say it all the time, but look, with this schedule, this opportunity, with the type of players that we have, for these individual players and collectively as this team, not take the coaching staff out of it, because this is an individual choice to go work at it. This is probably the biggest summer and leading in the fall camp ever in Nebraska history, consider what we were trying to do. And that's get back into relevance. And you start by trying to make a bowl game, or making a bowl game, beating some teams that you should beat, and then possibly having a couple upset victories and put yourself uh, right back on the map. Number three is execution. Execution is a little bit in ball handling, but just executing the simple plays, right? Um, every coaching staff or every offense and defensive coordinator, special team coach, you have your go-to plays, right? For when I was in the NFL, if we were late getting a signal in, we'd run, we'd destroy. We had a hand signal. We'd play Tampa 2, or we'd play a coverage that we knew that everybody could execute to a high percentage under pressure, under duress, when we needed to get to the next play, the next down, the next series. That's a small part of it, but the execution that you want, inside outside zone, are you hitting the right holes? Are you getting positive yards? Are you winning the line of scrimmage? Most importantly, and I'm going to talk on the offensive side of the ball, I call it direct access plays. I'd like to eliminate all of them, but the competition is too good. There's going to be some, but let's take our percentage down 30 or 40% on direct access plays. What is a direct access play? It's like if you run a midline handoff, inside outside zone, and somebody at the point of attack, either right directly at the point of attack or the second position at the point of attack, has direct access to the mesh point, to the runner or the quarterback in a pass play, that just eliminates the start of the play. We eliminate those and cut that down by 30 or 40%, and that's led by execution, getting on your guy, being steady, not losing your one-on-one battles, winning them or breaking even. Then you're going to see an offense that's going to be able to execute the basics. Then leads to them to do some of the stuff that gets you on the highlights and the Instagram reels and all that, to showcase the athletic ability of all of our offensive weapons potentially that we have. And then you make the simple plays look sexy. Let's make the simple plays look sexy by executing them at a high level all the time. Number four, this has to do more with defense, angles, right? You're playing against new teams coming in, obviously USC, UCLA, eventually we'll play Oregon and obviously Washington. They like to spread you out and use their speed, but just in general, we play Ohio State as well, who probably has the most talented roster in the college football. If not the most, one of the most talented, and they're going to beat you with speed, both vertically and horizontally. So angles is huge. Angles can be practiced with or without pads. Pad level play entry is angles. Are you playing the right team defense that is allowing your partner to make the play, which who knows in the game you might make the play based on how you come into a play entry, whether it's run or pass, mediate or intermediate or immediate passing areas or inside outside zone, toss plays, doesn't matter. You have to have your run fit and your angles in order to stop the ball at the point of attack. But more importantly, eliminate the possibilities of run after the catch, run after contact, yards after contact, which is huge. I'm going to jump into that after that, which allows Tony White and the defensive coaches to be on time and on schedule with their calls if you're having the right angles. And angles could be also very simply of the angle that a defensive lineman or outside linebacker or a jack or whatever you call them are taking on their initial block. Um, let's talk a little bit of yards after contact. That is huge. Why is it important? So if angles are good, effort is a must. That is non-negotiable, right? Physicality is a non-negotiable, and you have the right angles, and everybody knows what they're doing. So even if Jay Foreman misses a tackle, you have two or three defenders that are hitting him, hitting the offensive player, and not allowing them to bleed you for an extra 2 yards after contact, falling over. We used to call it let's knock them back. Let's get some knock back. Why is that important? So if it's 2nd and 8 and I miss a tackle and the gang tackles get it and we hold them to a 2-yard gain, now it's 3rd and 6. The amount of plays in the that the offense can play or call at 3rd and 6 is smaller versus if you allow 2 or 3 yards of or 2 or 3 extra yards after contact. Now it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4. An offensive coordinator is actually on schedule and on time. That's why I always look at it the cause and effect. Third down percentage usually can be directly attributed to first and second down defense. So you want to win early so you can celebrate late. So the angles and yards of contact is huge. When we play good defense, throughout the history of Nebraska, it was definitely a lot of guys getting to the ball and making plays for yourself individually, making plays for your other teammates, but more importantly, making plays for your team and your defense, which leads to getting the ball back to the guys that get all the pub and allowing them to score some touchdowns. And obviously, the most important thing is getting those W's in the column. The last but not least, I want to see this. I want to see this, or I'm going to look for, but you should also look for swagger, true swagger, not manufactured. Swagger comes from, it's not jumping around and listening to the music and acting like you're rapping and all that. And that's fun. That's what kids do these days. But the swagger is the quiet confidence that you've worked hard, you're ready to play, you're extremely focused, you can focus on a play, execute, disassociate yourself, execute again, and it's the swagger that you have. Even if sometimes if you mess up, you know what? That's on me. It'll never happen again. I know why I did it, how I did it, and it's in my memory bank, and it's something I'm going to concentrate on so it doesn't become a habit. The swagger of, I know I've improved my body. I've improved my knowledge in the offense and defense or special teams system. I've improved my position on the team, and that's a huge part in the summer. Maybe I needed to make up some ground, both physically and mentally. I've done it. Now I'm seeing the payoff. That's where the swagger comes from, because I know I've put in more time than some of my competitors on the team for a certain position, or I've put in more time to accentuate my position on the team, which will lead to plays on the field, which it leads me to lead by not only my actions, my words, because they both match up with each other. So swagger is huge. And obviously, there's other things that go into it. And but those are my 5 things I would probably keep an eye on. They're all controllable. They're all things that you can continue to work at. And I think swagger is good. I think it's a thing that kind of, it's all subjective, but then also I think it's very good for people to have it when you've earned it, and that's what Matt Rule and the staff has done, and said that every day you have to come and earn your spot. That's where the swagger comes. If I've earned it, I want to reap the benefits. I'm going to continue to want to reap the benefits because I've displayed what I needed to do to get the benefits. That's why my swagger is on 1,000%. And that's the first segment of Inside the Huddle / old school Brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard, and the Mercado Piedmont, certified Piedmontese Special Ingredients Butcher Shop, 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill. This is Jay Foreman. We're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to celebrate my man T. Farley getting into the Hall of Fame. Quick interview with him, a little bit of a background, what it means, and what it means for him, not only to get the award, but what it means afterwards. Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle, Advanced Medical Imaging. We'll be right back. Here we are on a special edition, Hall of Fame edition of Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. Jay Foreman. I got my old running mate with me, man. Now we running mates forever. This is a special Hall of Fame edition. I know I've been in his shoes. Terrell Farley. First, before we get into it, we'll get in your background and all that, and then we're going to talk about all the emotional stuff. I want to be the first to congratulate you, man, because we talked about it for years. And I'm going to tell you a little secret, man. I knew about 4 months prior, I had to hold tight. See, hey, Farley, don't ever worry if I can hold a secret now and I can hold water, but I want to be one of the first to congratulate you on air, man. Tell us how it feels, man.
Oh, man, it feels great, especially with, being in that's a good class. Right. You can't take it away from anybody on that class. Everybody in that class had a great college career. Most of them had great pro careers. So it's a great honor, just to finally get in and, just to be a part of something, just like being in a national championship team. Of course, me and you did that, right. The black shirt brothers together, and now we're Hall of Famers together. So it's a good honor to join that with so many great players and former players in Nebraska history.
Yeah, before we get into that, man, I always think of, I think it's always special to go back. Talk about, what your first love, growing up in Columbus, playing high school, going to JUCO, coming to Nebraska. Talk about all those emotions and what it was, did you think back to when you would ever get here, when the first time you stepped on the football field, or was you just like, I'm just going to be out here balling?
Well, it started when I was little, probably 6 years old. I started. Was a quarterback and running back. Ran the option a little bit. Yeah. Was a nose guard on defense.
Right.
So either way it go, I wanted to touch the ball. So right. It'd be around that action. Kind of slacked off when I got in junior high. Junior high to about my 11th grade year. I only started 1 year of high school. So then we won state my junior year. I contributed a lot. Then I started my senior year. That was the first year start, and I ended up winning the city defensive player of the year, special team player of the year. Then I had the grades quite frankly, to go to D1 school. So I committed to I was finna sign with I did actually sign with Arkansas State.
Okay.
So I signed with them, and then probably a month later, two guys came in my office with cowboy boots on and cowboy hats. They came to my high school, and they wanted to talk to me, and it was I'll never forget this day. It was a guy named James Shebest. He's still coaching. Last time I checked, he was the special team coach at Arkansas, but he got out of the JUCO rankings. But he came and he talked to me, and he was very talkative. I mean, I believed everything he said.
Right.
And I thought about it for like a couple of days, and me and one of my good friends, we signed to Arkansas State together. We were both going to be props. So I really thought about that part too, right. About being a prop 48 and seeing what my brother went through, because he didn't finish, he never qualified. So, that was one thing heavy on my mind.
Right.
So I just said, okay, I'm going to get this JUCO a try. If it doesn't work, I can either go to a good school or I can go to Albany State.
Right.
So it didn't matter. But I went out there to Independence. We wasn't a great team. We didn't have the best athletes, but, I had to make the best out of it.
Right.
Finished my junior year, second team all conference, had about 80 tackles. Second year, I was kind of determined. We did some things that we didn't usually do. We made the playoffs.
Right.
We beat Coffeyville.
Right. Oh yeah, they powerhouse.
I scored 2 touchdowns against Coffeyville off sacks and off 2 fumble recoveries.
Right.
Sacked the quarterback, picked the ball up. Then I finished that year off strong, and Then my coach set me down. He said, "Where you want to go?" I said, "Whoever wants me." That's first I got to make sure I graduate. So I was on schedule to graduate. So he said, "Man, I got 50 offers for you." He said, "You can go anywhere you want to go."
And you ain't even know that while you was
that
a whole.
I was just playing.
I
was just playing. I was just finishing my year. I ended up with about 150 something tackles, about 17 sacks, 10 block kicks. I was just playing the game I love because that's if you take football away from a lot of people, then they're nothing.
Right.
Then they're just regular people. So you got to really love football to play that game with passion like we play it.
Right.
And to nowadays it's more about money, but I got a lot of offers. I think Coach Osborne's Turner Gill called me first. He's about the third coach to contact me. He came down. I was like, "Whoa, look at this guy!"
Yeah.
We all know who.
Yeah, with tight shorts. He having them tight shorts.
He had the tight pants, the tight bell bottoms at the bottom with
the
tight shirt. But he talked good. And about a week later, Coach Osborne called me. A couple of days later, he talked. My main concern was like, how do I fit in that defense, and where am I going to play? And they always told me, well, we're looking at you like Ed Stewart. So they said, if you ever watch a game, watch Ed Stewart. So I being in junior college up in the Midwest, we get a lot of Nebraska games.
Right.
So I watched Nebraska probably play against Oklahoma that one time when they beat them like 13-3.
Right.
So I watched that game, and the way I watched it is like, how would I play it? Ed Stewart played just the way I thought I'd play. So, he was a little bigger than me. That was kind of a concern for me too. But, I don't think at this point that Nebraska would recruit me for a DB just to, come in and, so I knew I was probably going to play linebacker. But I get here and, I see you guys and I'm like, whoa, man, I kind of get kind of worried a little bit. But, I just said, let my talking take place on the field and don't worry about talking on the sideline. So, just playing with y'all and getting into the groove. Played on an excellent defense, man. All 11 should be Hall of Famers.
Right, yeah. People don't realize.
Yeah, I think if anything, while we talk about Hall of Fame, I think that whole defense should be Hall of Famers. Yeah. But just playing with you guys, man, it was great because we all. That's the first time I played with a bunch of guys that all 11 of us was on the same page.
Right.
We didn't have to worry about somebody breaking down or coverage or this happening and that happening. The only thing we had to worry about was who's going to make the tackle.
Right.
And that's one thing I hope this defense gets about, before you worry about being the number one defense, worry about being a family first and a knit tight group, because it all comes down to all 11 on y'all, all y'all on the field. The coach can call the play, but y'all have to play it together.
Yeah, I think these kids don't understand is they put the with the horse before the wagon, whatever it is. They think NFL was like, you need to be the best player at practice.
Yeah.
Day in and day out. And that's one of the things that we did. I think we took practice just as serious as games. I mean, because the games was, to be honest, a lot of times it was easy.
Yeah.
And so we was able to take it to the next level. What people don't realize about you though, which was great, because I remember I always think back when when I found out you were most likely getting in the Hall of Fame. One of my fondest memories, man, is after a hot practice. You had your car playing 8-ball MJG. You gave me a ride home, and I'm just like, you know what? That ride, cause we were tired after them 2 days, man, and riding home. But the great thing about you came in right away. I gravitated to you. But people don't realize you led the team in tackles and didn't start the first 6 games. Now that doesn't mean you weren't playing.
Yeah.
But talk about that process, because it takes a unique, because you can lose. I mean, I can't speak. You can lose your confidence. You can become frustrated because, hey, after that second game, like the first game, you're like, all right, you'd be like, all right, man, that's just coming, like a little bit of luck. Man, that second, third game, I'm still there looking at Coach Ball. I was like, you better put that boy in there.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. I wanted to start so bad, but I knew I was going in a lot. So then, still 4th, 5th game of the season, I'm leading the team in tackles, and I'm like, hey, I want a chance. Yeah. But it's a good thing. Good things happen that way.
Right.
So being patient. You got to tell some people are ready right away, and some people you got to be patient with. And I think that was one thing that Coach McBride did was ease me in,
right,
make me really eager to grab that position. And
right,
and when he did give me the opportunity to start, I think that was K-State. I
right,
ended up with 10 tackles, 2 sacks. But like we say, man, I mean, some games we didn't have that luxury of being in there the whole game.
right, like
I
them.
mean, like sometimes, like a lot of people say, man, you don't have enough stats like Levante David. Well, Levante David played every fourth quarter. I only played one fourth quarter.
Right.
And if I lead the team in tackles, I might have 3 tackles and I'm coming out the game.
Right. That's a good game.
That's a good game.
Yeah, man.
A tackle, a sack, and a tackle for loss. Hey, that's like 10 tackles to us.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really worried about it, man. It's just like, that's how we play ball and that's how we enjoyed ourselves by letting the guys behind us get more reps than we get.
Yeah, man. One thing before we get into the Hall of Fame weekend for you, I always tell people that you had a unique ability to like diagnose plays. Like I could do it. We worked great together because we were kind of like a 2 different type of ball players. Like you hopefully took a little bit of what I did. I tried to take, when I started to watch you, it helped me at the next level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Talk about your natural ability. I always say that you had the natural ability to leverage the ball and not the block because ultimately we got to get to the dude with the ball.
Yeah. It's like a bullfighter, man. Ole.
Yeah.
So, that was one thing I was able to do good was a good pursuit and getting away from blockers at the point of attack.
Right.
It's like, I don't know, especially when Coach McBride taught me to use my hands. I mean, once you instead of dipping your shoulder most of the time, now I'm able to use that hand and get a spin, not a spin move, but how we used to do that rip move. Yeah. So I'll be able to do that. But, it's anybody can go from side to side. But, you can go side to side quicker when you know how to use your arms and use your legs and take the right steps. Like we did. I mean, we was perfect linebackers. I mean, we did steps right. And playing next with you, Doug, and Jamel and Phil, I mean, I felt comfortable playing with y'all because, we all knew what we was doing. As long as we knew what our job was, it made it better for everybody.
Right, yeah. I think people don't realize how much footwork is important. I always say you get paid by 2 things, your feet and your hands.
Yeah.
Because you'll be in every single play, man. But let's pivot a little bit to Hall of Fame weekend. Talk about, who's going to come in, how you going to celebrate. Before that, you just became a granddad. So we officially old. You know what I'm saying? So who's all going to come in with you to, be a part of your weekend?
My father's going to come down, my mom, my cousin, my best friend, couple of more people, I'm happy to have them around just to make this trip and just to celebrate probably one of the best gifts in life I probably ever received besides being a granddad. But they're going to come down and we're just going to chill out, just try to celebrate and have a good weekend and, let this be one of the best memories to go down and follow history.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, people don't realize, how tight we were at the games. Families would kick it together. Families got to know each other just because we was all pulling for each other. There wasn't many of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, there wasn't many of us. So we was pretty tight. And so one thing I realized when I went in, it's a celebration not only you as a player, but then of everybody that
that helped you through that journey.
Do that because it's not like the Hall of Fame is the end part.
Yeah,
that's why I asked you about how it started. It's gonna be a great weekend. I want to ask you one more question, man. Everybody always has a fondest memory as a Husker. What's your best memory as a Husker?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, we had so many because we win it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But
my fondest memory, just probably scoring a touchdown in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah,
how loud they get. I had the opportunity to do that twice. So, it's scoring a touchdown. I think my biggest one probably blocking that kick in the end zone against Missouri and almost picking it up, but it went out as a safety. I I was happy as hell. You know,
Right.
I was feeling myself there. That's when I started to feel myself at Nebraska.
Right.
So, you know, that's one of my best memories here.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's people don't realize that people always ask me what's your fondest memory. I was like, man, first time running out the tunnel,
Yeah.
the elation making big plays. I mean,
first time getting my black shirt, walking out to practice, you know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Feeling like Clark Clint.
Nobody can touch you with that bad boy.
Yeah,
man.
you come out last and let everybody see it.
Exactly.
But Terrell at, man, he here today. Oh man,
you get
brand
new. Yeah. It's like when somebody get a new pair of Jordans or something. You're gonna make sure everybody. You're gonna walk in the gym last and make sure everybody sees you. One more thing, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice, man. There's two things. I don't know if you framed it. I framed my black shirts, and then number two, I framed. Did you get the letter sent to your house?
I got an email to me.
Print that bad boy off, put it in it, man. Because I'm telling you, man, as you go forward, you know, you're gonna get a ring and all that stuff. I didn't even know that. Steve Taylor told me. So you're gonna be, you know, everybody's gonna welcome you in there. But that letter is something I think, Farley, that I like. Whenever I have some stuff going on, I just look at that letter, man.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah.
That lets you know.
You earned it.
And we can do anything.
Yeah.
Because I don't give. You know, look, there's a lot of people say, "Oh, I knew he was going to be great." No, they didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, much like myself and for you, overcame some stuff, man. I'm proud of you, man. I love you like hell. Because I mean, hey, to get where you're at, man, long overdue. But I would tell you, like my grandma told me, man. Ain't no time like the present. It's on time.
Yeah,
you know,
hey, it's over with now. Right. So, you know, I'm in there.
Yeah, I'm in there. Yeah, you in there, man. But appreciate you stepping in for Inside the Huddle. This is T. Farley, the new cemented Hall of Fame. I'm gonna tell you this though, Farley. Now you can't get rid of me, dog. We teammates for life. So we're gonna take a quick break. But if you see Farley out, man, give him some love because he's a Hall of Famer now. Jay Foreman, T. Farley, Inside the Huddle. We'll holler at you.
Thank you for having me, Dad.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Live from the 93.7 The Ticket Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Inside the Huddle with Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Black Shirts.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging.
What up? Happy Sunday. This is Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. All your imaging needs, and we'll get you a detailed and clear path to hopefully some pain relief, which they've done for me at times and on a more consistent basis that I'd like. But it's the Sunday after 4th of July, Harrison, and obviously it was a pretty good holiday. I always say that 4th of July on a Thursday is a little tricky. Look, people love it because you know you get Friday off and you probably get Tuesday or Wednesday off. And the way the fireworks started via supposedly before July 1st, seems like everybody had a week off. But before we get into the fireworks that was took the internet over probably a little bit over 24 hours ago, how was your holiday?
It was good.
Good.
Got some much needed sun. Nobody lost any fingers. I think that's all you need on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
No, I was surprised. I don't know if you listened to Jeff and Nicole this morning though. Some sticklers about the fire. I guess up in Iowa, you're not allowed to just light them individually. You have to go to the shows, and not big fans of that.
Yeah.
Having to get up early, which I thought was a little unpatriotic, but each their own.
Yeah, I mean, it's Iowa. Right,
that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it's Iowa. No offense, it's Iowa. They did, they do things a little backwards. I think it's something you always got to say is that look, nobody, got injured, and obviously there, whether it's fireworks and people, I think either aren't being as cautious as they should. But let alone, let's not forget down there in South Padre Island, man. I think that young lady or young man, he got his calf bitten off by a shark.
Yeah, it can be wild.
Yeah, I mean, and I just think, granted, they don't go together, but I just think holiday weekend sometimes you can get caught up in the emotion and excitement, and then you could do things that you sometimes can regret. And fireworks is just part of 4th of July.
I did set a tree line on fire once
Right.
in my youth. Yeah, it's close. Almost lost the farm tree line there.
And here's the thing: is like sometimes my oldest, we did it. And we had one of those ones that, and I don't buy the big like M80s. And
That's what I did it with. I had the little fireball shooters and tipped over and shot it right into the woods.
See, I don't do it. We get a couple of those, but they're real like low level. Well, we had it. We set it up. She lit it on fire, and a wind gust as it went up, and it was one of those ones that just kind of shot off little ones. I was there. I had a drink in my hand. You look up, man, and this little thing coming at you. She was scared. So I mean, it's you just never know when they could go awry, because I think also I would say this is the quality probably of the product is probably not as good as it, because it's a huge business. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so you see, and that's just a part of the massive fireworks, and I think it's a huge business. People spend a lot of money on it, and but there's a lot of good fireworks shows. I mean, look, I like the holiday, like to eat, grill and stuff. That's probably what I, probably more up my alley, and I don't mind watching it. One of my fondest memories probably in sports and in youth is out in when I was living in Frederick, Maryland. When I kind of really started liking basketball. We went to Thomas Johnson High School, and they were lighting them off, and they got all these courts, and we were playing on the blacktop. And I think it was the funnest part was, they had food and stuff, watch fireworks, and we played basketball all night. So 4th of July is a good holiday. I'm glad everybody had a good holiday, but obviously, Harrison, as we said last week, once July comes, it's on.
Yeah, what are we, less than 50 days away now from week 0?
Yeah, but it's not even about week 0. It starts now because you're in training camp mode. And here's a funny thing, Harrison. You've seen me, and I mean, we've known each other, for a few years. I'm obviously significantly older than you, right?
You said it, not me.
Both in looks and the body. But I will tell you this. Every year in July, around this time, you get the same feeling in my body every year. And every football player will tell you. I'm sure guys that play baseball that are retired, and they talk about spring training, basketball when they go in the camps or whatever. Mm-hmm. Football is in the air. And people think it's just a cliche. No, it's like a sense that you get with the grass and all that stuff, and just the way your body is, programmed to. It's been programmed that way since, I think I started playing football in 4th grade.
So do you feel like you need to start, like, are you saying like you get that mode, like football's in the air, almost feel like you need to go start working out? Or no, just like football's like as a spectator? Or what are you trying to say?
Here's what I'm saying. Your body starts, you feel it, okay, right? It's just, you just know, like it's kind of like, it's just like is this in your, bodily routine, yearly routine. Now, what it means for me right now, Harrison, and here's the difference. About 6 or 7 years ago, every time it would start to hit, I would crank up the workouts, right? Subconsciously. Like
even if you're retired, you're just getting after it.
Like all right, let's it's just like, all right, let's start to get after it, right? So I would start, you'd work out a little bit longer, instead of it being 45 minutes, it might be an hour and a half.
No wonder Dr. Razdan's got some work for you.
But it's not like I'm jumping off boxes, but it's just,
you feel it.
The intensity starts to crank up. And it's something that I would consciously do and then subconsciously do. And that was just it's just an itch, right? It's like it's like I said, it's like a wolf sense. You just have this itch, right? That was 6 years ago. Now I still have the itch. I just don't crank up the workouts. So, but it's just part of your my natural body clock. And and so what I'm saying is football's in the air. You can't turn around it. You can't turn away from it. And, we talked about last week what it means. The hay's in the barn right now. Mm-hmm. Now, are you still working out hard? Sure. Right. But your focus and your mindset changes. Your body, like the way you move change, the way you interact with people change. A lot of times in the NFL, Harrison, you might take your everything's based around football, whether it's family vacations or whatever, or last little kind of hurrah. Like,
Right.
I'd go back to Minnesota and see my friends and stuff, but everything's based on when training camp is. And that's why they always say you got to have a good support system. Sometimes, I want to go hang out with, I got a couple best friends, Jamal and Sam and stuff like that. They might have had stuff going on, but they know, look, I'm coming back this weekend because I need to make sure if we have too good of a time, I got to make sure I get that out of my system and I got to get back on track before I go to training camp. Because I'm not working out hard the day before training camp or 2 or 3 days before training camp. I might do some like touch-up stuff. And that's just, where it's at. And that's why football's in the air because, I'll say this, and this is what I mean. You're asking, what does it really mean? Okay, so, my fuse is going to be shorter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might think like, oh, he's spaced out. Nah, I'm thinking about some stuff that you might not want me to articulate to you. You know what I mean? I'm starting to get ready to go into training camp. And people don't, and granted, I can't say people don't understand because I can't expect them to understand. It's something that only few and far between have ever been able to experience, right? What you go through to play professional sports and play a, somewhat quote unquote combat sport, collision sport, as it says like football, is as much mental as it is physical and lifting and trying to get your arms big and get all and lean. It's more mental. Because as much as that you're ready to go, you have that, okay, am I in the best shape? Am I going to, did I lose a step? Have I gotten better? Has everybody else gotten better? All the goals that you might write down or have, like, now guys don't write down goals. They just put it, in their notes in their phone and, all that stuff. Will I be able to achieve it? Is there going to be other factors in it? It's a long season. You have to pace yourself, but you can't hold back. It's a constant back and forth mental, and then you're going into a very physical obviously they take care of them a little bit more now, but you're going into a very physical demanding 6-7 months.
Yeah,
it's every day,
especially those last few months,
right? So you got to think, if you start, okay, you're not hitting in July, so let's just say from August, September, October, November, ideally if it's December. So that's 5 months that is getting after. And now if you really get into college football playoffs, you go into 6 months. And it's physical. So yeah, you can taper back in practice, but everything you do is physical. And what I mean by that, Harrison, is like how you operate, how you're in football mode. You're a football player 24/7, 365. Now when you get into like season mode, then I'm probably just not. I probably wasn't the funnest to be around. You know what I mean? Here's a funny thing. I remember meeting Sugar Shane Mosley. He is the boxer. So Jason Simmons, who was a teammate of mine in Houston, he's actually coaching for the Washington Commanders now. He was great. He was a jack of all trades. He was our Swiss Army knife, but he had the best personality because he had no problem when we were down in Vegas for this fight to go up and talk to Denzel and introduce himself. And so we met Sugar Shane Mosley down in Vegas, and he knew Sugar Shane based on his prior relationship with a former teammate that was like in his management group. So we went and saw Sugar Shane Mosley before he was about to fight. I think he fought De La Hoya. So he was like, hey, it was one of his big fights. And we went to his suite, and it was like a suite to me is like, you got a nice bed, and then you might have like a little sitting there. This was like, a whole apartment, right? So we walk into where he's at, and we walk in there, and I was like, where is he? Well, we meet him out in like kind of his like meeting area, and he's like, I'm going in here to to where I'm going to hang out for a while. It's pitch dark, and we had the conversation, just kind of meet and greet, and he explained it. He sat in there in complete darkness, pretty much,
just to
lock in. And he's like, we were like not saying anything. He's like, yeah. The things that he was saying, yeah, like he's like, I'm trying to break his ribs. I'm trying to do this. I want that eye socket. He's like he's like that's what he started to think about. So when you think about back when I'm only going to go off of like the guys that I know, and this is not referencing the 90s, but this is what I know. Okay. Playing on defense with the guys that I played on, I know exactly what their mindset was. Every to a T. Even though we had pretty boys defensive backs, I know what they were made of. They might not have been thinking on the same levels like Jason and Christian Peter and all them, but they were thinking you were like Tony Veland. He was trying to destroy you. Mike Menor was trying to do the same. All those guys. So we were all on the same wavelength. But that the C Sugar Shane Mosley, now obviously he's going into a one-on-one,
real combat
in front of thousands of people and broadcasted throughout the whole world. But that gives you a little bit of a glimpse on what you have to go into, the mindset you have to go into when you go into training camp. And it was a crazy experience. Now we only were in there for like 10 minutes, but it was just him and I think it was his trainer, and they were just talking back and forth, and it was like
sitting in the dark.
Yeah, and the thing is, he didn't move because he wanted, like, it was like as he got closer to the fight, he didn't want to expend any wasted energy, like just locked in there. And what's also funny, Christian McCaffrey, I mean, it was all over the internet. He just got married this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And listen, Harrison, if you ever get married, I think I'm going to be the black version of Greg Olson. Did you see the picture of Greg Olson? I mean, listen, if you ever see, if there ever was a guy that is the epitome of I'm in your wedding party, I'm here to party,
Olson.
Did you see him?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else still had I think they were wearing tux or suits, right? Yeah, pull up, right? And but Greg Olson had his untucked hair. I mean, he looked like he had been on his, binger the night before, and all that. But Christian McCaffrey, if you listen to him from a very early age, his dad set forth the path of how to prepare to be the elite athlete, right? And so one of the funny stories was what he used to wear to school on the day of the game, right? I think he didn't allow him, Harrison, to wear jeans because it felt like it would weigh down on his legs, and so his legs would be tired. I think he wore sweats and loose fitting clothes. He did all that type of stuff. He was preparing him to be the best athlete that he could be. Now, was it at that time probably a little bit overboard? Maybe thought of, but guess what? Christian McCaffrey would tell you he wouldn't be where he's at right now if he didn't have that type of process, how to train, what you ate.
And there's a guy right there too.
Yeah. See, look at Greg. Look, I mean, actually, when we look at it, Harrison, I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey, I think that's obviously his wife, right?
Yeah.
And I got his fullback is right there, Jusek, and you got George Kittle, who's a part, and then Kyle Shanahan is trying to be undercover FBI agent with the mustache. And there's Greg Olson, and I don't know, and they obviously played together in Carolina, but Greg Olson, I'm assuming, was in the wedding party, but if not, he was at the party. He was at the
he
wedding.
Definitely was at the party.
But Greg Olson does not have. Look, both of them, all of them have their bow ties on, right? Greg Olson does not have his bow tie on, shirt untucked, hair is
disheveled.
Definitely has been out in the sun, and he is the epitome of I'm here to party, and I'm here to have a good time. But anyways, bring it back to Christian McCaffrey. It's in his dad Ed, and obviously we've had Luke here, and all of them are great athletes. Along with the mom, is that the dedication it takes to get prepared to play, and it's those little things that people don't really realize. Of okay, do I wear loose fitting clothes and all that because he wanted to be at the best, and he had to go to the point where he had to put some weights in his pockets to weigh in because he had to hit certain benchmarks, and so. That's where a lot of athletes are at, and I'm assuming Nebraska and their players are starting to get to that mode. I'm sure they're still working out, but also they're it's kind of like almost sending them off to boot camp.
Yeah,
and those 6 weeks of training camp in the NFL was like boot camp. I'm sure now they get full days off and all this other stuff, but 2 days is no joke, man. I mean, it's more mental, and it's not. And the thing is, it's a hard thing to really put a pin on, because some guys are in survival mode, right? And then you can't be in survival mode, because you have to constantly find ways to battle through, push yourself, get better. That's the opposite. But to the naked eye, you can't tell. It's a individual choice. Because if you're out there in survival mode, are you really in tuned in the game? Are you really just trying to get through that period, that section of practice, that week of practice? Well, if you're just in survival mode, you have, as a player, and I would just say you had a whole team of survivor guys in survival mode during training camp. Well, when you get into like a white knuckle game, a real crucial point, that's what you go back to. That's why you have to be able to push yourself mentally through those hard days, because it sucks, right? It sucks going to be out here. It's going to be 100 degrees a day, in practice. You're going to be, your head's going to be hurting. You're going to be going against the same guys, but you're going to have to find a way to do everything you're supposed to and practice with the intention of getting better. You have the right intention, then you end up getting something out of it. Versus if you go through survival mode, then you could possibly set yourself up for failure or miss out on a little detail that you might need to pull out a victory again on the road, at home, or just a crucial game to get you over the hump individually, right? Or collectively as a player. So that's the crucial part, not only for individual players, it's the leadership. It's also coaches are going to be dependent on it and trying to push it, but they can't control it. That's why I always say, that's why, Coach Rule and every coach will tell you, look, the best teams are player-led teams.
Well, yeah, especially you got one coach just showing up.
Yeah, and you know what,
Harrison, talk about that.
Yeah, thanks for the softball, and hopefully I hit it out of the park. We're going to dive into Coach Butler and obviously the resignation of Coach Cooper. But we're going to take a quick break. This is Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, Jay Foreman, 7601 Pioneer